Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. I'm one of the owners of 1A Auto. I want to help you save time and money repairing and maintaining your vehicle. I'm going to use my 20 plus years experience restoring and repairing cars and trucks like this to show you the correct way to install parts from 1AAuto.com. The right parts installed correctly. That's going to save you time and money. Thank you and enjoy the video.
In this video, we'll be showing you how to remove and replace the front pads and rotors on this 98 Explorer, same as any 95 to 01 Explorer or Mountaineer, and also the same as many front disc equipped vehicles. Tools you'll need are jack and jack stands, 13, 15, and 19 millimeter sockets and ratchet, hammer and punch or screwdriver, and that's only if one of your pads doesn't want to come out, and a large C-clamp.
Okay, so obviously you're going to want to jack up and secure your vehicle. But you can just work a screwdriver in there and pry off your cap. And then these are 19 millimeter. If you don't have impact tools, loosen your lug nuts on the ground, then raise your vehicle and secure it with a jack stand, and then remove the lug nuts. Once the lug nuts are off, just pull the tire right off. Okay, once you have the wheel off, what you can do is, you see I've actually turned, and you can just pull on it. I've turned the wheels to the left, and there's 4 bolts, okay, that basically hold the brakes on. There's one here, 13 millimeter, and one up here, okay, and those just hold the calipers to this big bracket. There's also a 15 millimeter bolt here, okay, and a 15 millimeter bolt right up here, and those hold the bracket to the steering knuckle. So the larger bolts allow you to get your rotor off, while these smaller ones just allow you to get your caliper off. Okay, so I'll remove the 2 smaller ones first. Top one I can't get my impact wrench in there, so do it the old-fashioned way. And you can see actually, just as I undid that, my caliper popped right up, which means my bolt might be stuck in here. Okay, so take my other bolt off. And now my caliper will come right up and off. I can just kind of put that right up here. You can see here I just wire tied my caliper up here to keep in place. We're just looking to change your pads. You just pull them off right here. One that they pull right out. I'm just going to use a punch and a little hammer just to kind of tap my rear pad out there. Actually, these pads are in pretty good shape. And you remove the 2 larger 15 millimeter bolts. Okay, this bracket then comes right off, and your rotor comes right off. Okay, so you can see the new rotor's on there, fits nicely. Obviously everything you get from 1A Auto is going to fit well. This truck is just kind of a video mule, and the brakes are actually fine on it, so I am just going to reinstall the original brakes. I just want to show you that. So you remove. And you may have noticed through the wonders of editing there is a new hub on there, so you can see our video for hub installation. The truck did need a new hub, so obviously the rotor goes right on. You want to put the hub bracket back on, which it just bolts into the back here. And the bracket does go on the hub side of the steering knuckle. Okay, and these bolts, they're the 15 millimeter that hold this bracket on. You want to tighten to about 60 to 65 foot-pounds. Okay, so the new pads from 1A Auto, you can see these are the pads that are on the truck, and they actually have life left. Okay, so here's the metal. This is the metal of the pad, and then here's the pads themselves. So there's still some pretty good wear. You can see the new ones are quite a bit thicker. But just want to show you our pads will install just like the original. What you might need to do for this application, these wear tabs may get in your way, so you may need to just use a hammer and tap them down. Okay, and you can see on this, it's tapped down, so it's facing straight down. That's because it has to go into this bracket. What I might suggest is before you put the pads on, this is just a little bit of anti-seize. You could use any kind of lubricant, maybe a little bit of white grease. I'm just going to put this in where the pads go in. Be careful not to get it on the disc. You don't want to get anything on your rotor that would interfere with the friction of the brake pads. This right here is where the pads install into, so I just put a little bit of lubricant on it and on the back side as well. It doesn't matter when you put the new pads in which side you put them in. Okay, I'm going to put these back the way they were. This one was on the front side. Like I said, with new ones it doesn't really matter how you put them in, but these were already installed, so putting them on the way they were installed. And this back one is just going to require a little bit of tapping. You're going to want to loosen up the cap on your brake fluid here. If you're putting new pads on, you'll want to take a C-clamp like this, and you're going to want to push your pistons back into the caliper.
Even in fast motion, you can see here, the clamp just pushes the piston in, and you want to be careful that you don't pinch any lines or anything like that. If your calipers have more than one piston, you have to do it on all pistons.
Okay, now these bolts only require about 30 foot-pounds of torque, so I'm just using this wrench and getting them tight, but not incredibly tight. Okay, they just kind of hold the caliper. What actually does the braking is this big bracket here that's bolted to the steering knuckle. The pads, the caliper pushes the pad against the rotor, and then that pad jams up against this bracket. So this bracket is tightened on with 65 to 70 foot-pounds, while these bolts only need to be about 20 or 30 foot-pounds because they're just holding the caliper in place.
Okay, just a quick word here. When you go to test drive your car, first thing you want to do is pump your brakes a bunch of times. Okay, as you push those pistons back in, they need to work their way back out, so you want to pump your brakes a bunch of times. And then you'll want to hold your brake, put it in gear, make sure the brakes hold the car, and then do a 10-mile-an-hour stop and just make sure your brakes are working before you put it on the road and road test it. Okay, and now just in the interest of keeping it short, we'll put the wheel back on, put your lug nuts on, get them snug, then lower the car to the ground, torque them up to 90 to 100 foot-pounds, replace your cap, and you're in business. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.